Let's go to this developing story. ANC National Officials will this evening at 6 o'clock, at this hour, in fact, meet with former President Thabo Mbeki at Luthuli House. The meeting has been called to deliberate on the former president's letter to the party's officials on how the ANC has dealt with the Phala Phala matter. SABC political reporter Samkele Maseko joins us live now. Sam, a lot of talk around that particular letter, and I can only imagine that it's going to be featured quite highly on the agenda tonight. Has the meeting started?
Bongiwe, the former president of South Africa, the former president of the ANC, former President Thabo Mbeki has arrived 5 minutes ago here at Luthuli House for his meeting with ANC's national officials over how the party has dealt with the Section 89 report, high panel report on the Phala Phala revelations, pertaining to President Cyril Ramaphosa on those millions of dollars that were allegedly stolen at his farm, and why the money or the foreign currency was in cash at his Phala Phala farm, and how the ANC caucus in Parliament voted when it came to this particular Section 89 report on those Phala Phala revelations, with the ANC caucus voting against the adoption of this particular report, which former President Mbeki says was wrong, and also that ad hoc committee looking into these revelations that was being proposed by the Democratic Alliance, which and the other parties in Parliament that wanted those investigations into this particular matter involving President Ramaphosa, which the ANC caucus voted against as well, and also that inquiry that was proposed by the Democratic Alliance on the revelations that were ongoing at the power utility Eskom, which was a lid that was blew up by Andre Terrator, which former President Mbeki says the Democratic Alliance is continuously finding itself on the right side of the law and of the Constitution, and the ANC violating the Constitution of the Republic in not allowing these particular investigations to take place. In that scathing letter he wrote to the ANC officials, he has arrived to engage with those officials. But interestingly, Bongiwe, the President of South Africa and the President of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, has not yet arrived at this meeting, but the Deputy President, the National Chairperson of the ANC, Gwede Mantashe, and the Secretary General, Fikile Mbalula, are the ones currently present. We've not yet seen other officials of the party.
Do we know if the president is coming at all?
We don't know whether President Cyril Ramaphosa will be coming to this meeting, but we will be speaking to the ANC spokesperson, Ms. Hlengiwe Pengu Mutsiri, who has assured us, was with us about 3 minutes ago. She has gone to engage the Secretary General of the ANC and former President Mbeki and other officials to get a briefing on what to communicate with us. We will be getting a word of comment from the ANC in the next 5 or so minutes on what will transpire at this meeting, when we will be speaking to their spokesperson. We will also be trying to go inside to get a few visuals and to get a sense of the mood of the meeting, particularly after that 13-page scathing letter on how the ANC has dealt with these particular issues is un-ANC, and how the ANC has essentially, in the words of Thabo Mbeki, gone back to the era of former President Jacob Zuma in protecting President Cyril Ramaphosa at all costs.
And Samkele, it's going to be interesting how the ANC then deals with this one going forward, because he's not the only one now who's raised an issue again. Now we see the Archbishop Thabo Makgoba also raising an issue around that very issue, saying that it looks like things are now regressing and going back to that very moment when Parliament also vehemently came out through the ANC MPs, of course, against that particular Nkandla matter. So it's going to then be critical what voices emerge from this meeting and what message from the ANC emerges.
It will be very interesting, Bongiwe, particularly knowing that the former president was part of those National Executive Committee meetings of the governing party that deliberated on these matters, particularly on that Section 89 report when it finally came out, when it was sent to the ANC's National Executive Committee, had to be processed by the NWC, and ultimately the president of the ANC having to open that NEC meeting. That was a week before the national conference of the governing party, had to open that NEC and ultimately had to leave the meeting to allow NEC members to vent ventilate, deliberate on these matters. It remember Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma coming out and saying that they were Armstrong and there was dictatorship in that meeting and that all speakers were not allowed to speak, and that the national chairperson, Gwede Mantashe, summarized this particular meeting. I'm now going to bring in Mr. Hlengiwe Mutsiri, Pengu Mutsiri of the governing party, the spokesperson Mahlengi Pengu, to speak on this particular matter of this meeting. We will require some further indulgence from you guys on this other side. Ms. Mahlengi Pengu Mutsiri, the essence of this meeting, what's going on? We've seen the former president, Thabo Mbeki, arriving. Who's in the meeting? What's the agenda of the meeting?
Well, the agenda of the meeting, thank you, Samkele. The agenda of the meeting is fairly straightforward. The former president of our organization and the former president of the country had written to the leadership of the ANC expressing certain concerns. The letter that was addressed to the deputy president was warmly embraced by our national officials, and the national officials committed to opening the door for a further engagement with the former president. And this is happening tonight. And I think it's an opportunity for the leadership of the ANC to put their heads together, to get counsel, to get wisdom, but also to engage with our former president and to come to certain conclusions. I'm not able to preempt what is going to be the outcome of this meeting tonight, as you would know, Samkele. But indeed, I can say that I've just been inside, and the mood is that mood of collegiality and camaraderie. And we are hoping that it will definitely be the type of meeting that helps us to continue with the renewal project of the African National Congress.
Looking at the substantive issues that the former president has raised in that letter, issues pertaining to how the ANC is reverting back to what it was in the era of former President Jacob Zuma, protecting a sitting president at all costs, against the ethos, the values of the governing party, saying that it was wrong for the governing party to vote against that particular motion of the Democratic Alliance for an inquiry into the wrongdoings at ESCOM, saying it was wrong to vote against the Section 89 report, it was wrong to vote against the adoption of an ad hoc committee to look into any wrongdoing at Phala Phala and to investigate it from a legislative arm of the state, which is Parliament. As the ANC, how do you view these substantive matters that your former president has raised, knowing that your former SG has given, your SG now, Fikile Mbalula, has given an instruction that this matter, ANC leaders should not ventilate them in public until this meeting has taken place?
It was important for, let me start to your last point, Samkele. It was important for our Secretary General to make that type of request because we wanted to give this engagement a shoe-in. And it's happening now. Our comrades and our members and our supporters, as well as our critics, will have a chance to ventilate on what comes out of this meeting. I won't go into the substance of the meeting tonight because that's precisely the reason why the SG issued that advisory. It was not an attempt to gag members of the African National Congress and supporters and critics from commenting. It was really just to enable a sense of organization, a sense of structure, because coming out of the 55th National Conference of the ANC, we are determined that there must be a sense of organization and a sense of structure, something that the African National Congress has been known for decades. And this is something that as this national leadership, we are really committed to ensuring and enforcing in the interest of the African National Congress. Back to the second point, on the substantive matters that you are raising. The substantive matters that you are raising, Samkele, as you know, these are matters that are being ventilated inside. So I'm not going to comment on those. I'm happy to comment on those once the Secretary General has made expressed a particular view of the outcome of the meeting. Remember, the ANC has got three main communication messengers. The first communication messenger is our president, the first chief spokesperson of the ANC, second chief spokesperson of the ANC is the SG, and the third chief spokesperson of the ANC is the national spokesperson. So I would defer to the second chief spokesperson on this particular matter because we can only comment on those once these matters have been ventilated. The last point, you have raised a particular matter related to the posture of our former president related to some of these matters. All I can say, as far as that is concerned, is that the ANC is an organization that is known for promoting collective leadership. And part of promoting collective leadership means that your view as Samkele or your view as somebody else always is subjected to the collective view. And I would just want to leave it at that. And that's precisely why even our former president has availed himself to meet with our leadership, precisely because he's a veteran of this organization, stalwart of this organization, and has a keen understanding of the need to test his views with those of the sitting leadership represented by our national officials. So let's watch out for a comprehensive statement that we will issue when this meeting has been concluded.
Which officials are part of this particular meeting? We've not yet seen the convoy of the incumbent president of the ANC and president of the country, Cyril Ramaphosa, pulling up here at Luthuli House.
We are represented, all the officials are here. This is now the Deputy President, the Secretary General, the Deputy Secretary Generals 1 and 2, the Treasurer General, and I hope I'm not leaving anybody out. This is with the exception of the President. The President is not in attendance at the meeting.
Why is the President not in attendance of the meeting? Because the substantive issues that President Mbeki raises involve the President. If you remember correctly, last year in Nasrec, 3 weeks before or 2 weeks before your national conference, when that Section 89 report came out, he was not present at that meeting. Your former president asked, why is the president not present? He should be present at this meeting, which prompted him to follow up on the Monday meeting, to open the meeting and then recuse himself. Why is he not here today?
Well, I would believe that there are reasons, cogent reasons. Normally, the president makes it his business to prioritize activities of the organization. So I'm sure there are cogent reasons. But if I was, of course, had an opportunity to look into this, I would also imagine that matters that have been ventilated on do require somebody to be circumspect about the extent of their involvement in the discussion. But this is not my perspective. I would just say that we do know that the president is fully engaged in various meetings, and this meeting has also been set up at relatively short notice, given the fact that both the national officials of the ANC have been fully engaged in Easter activities. Our former president, as you would know, also operates a very tight schedule. And I would see nothing untoward about our president not being here. Absolutely nothing untoward.
I raise this matter with you because this meeting was essentially meant to take place on Thursday afternoon. But there's an investment conference which the president will be addressing on Thursday, and the meeting thus had to be moved from taking place this coming Thursday to today. And the president, in the little knowledge that I have, was in Moria on Sunday. And yesterday, Monday, is normally ANC Monday. It's a public holiday. One would assume Tuesday, the ANC would take that day for ANC work. So I don't understand where the president would be if he's also not engaged in any government responsibilities. We've not yet seen his public diary, which will be shared tomorrow by the spokesperson in the presidency, Vincent Magwenya.
Correction, Samkele. The ANC day is Monday. Today is Tuesday. So let's not make inferences that where they don't belong, because a Tuesday in the government agenda is just what it is, a Tuesday in the government agenda. So I wouldn't really want us to get technical about that. I don't think that it's necessary. That's the first one. The second one, you raised the issue about the president having to shift the thing from a Thursday engagement to today. I don't know that as the spokesperson of the ANC. Maybe this is some information that only you are privy to.
Will former President Mbeki not feel disrespected by the president not being present in this particular meeting of the ANC officials? As you can see, Nomvula Mokonyane, the Deputy Secretary General, that is her vehicle. She is now arriving for the meeting. Will the former president not feel disrespected by the absence of the president?
I absolutely doubt that. Our former president, I doubt that is possible. This is the collective. The collective is here, led by the national chair. Remember, the meetings of this nature are not even chaired by the president. They're chaired by the national chair in terms of the constitution of the ANC. I don't see how that is possible, that the former president can feel disrespected. I don't even think that is something that is right up his alley.
Any chance that we can get some quick visuals inside of them before the meeting starts?
The meeting has already started. The meeting is in full swing as we speak. We will give you an indication if there's a chance of having a quick word with both the former president and our national chair and or our secretary general, but we will do so.
Roughly how long will the meeting last? Do you have any idea how much time has been set out for it? And if the president is required to come, will he be called to come and present his side of the story to the former president?
Well, I don't think that this meeting is about pitting the former president and the sitting president. It's a meeting of comrades where they are looking at issues together, and for the former president to also understand the types of conversation that are taking place internally within the ANC. So I think it's a meeting of comrades really just advising one another and engaging one another in that camaraderie spirit. About the sitting president being called to explain his side of the story to the former president, I'm not certain that this is something that I can respond to, and that this is something that is part of the tradition of the ANC. When we engage our former president, it's not with a view of them being accounted to, because remember, they also serve on the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress. So I think we should really leave these things to the meeting that is currently underway.
I raised my last point with you, particularly knowing that Archbishop Thabo Mbeki yesterday, speaking to the SABC, and on Sunday delivering his sermon in the Western Cape at the cathedral, said that the president has not been honest on these matters. He's not been able to take the nation into full confidence. What is the ANC's view with society now, civic organizations, the churches, saying that the president must come clean, as they feel as if the ANC is slipping back into that dark hole it was in what is perceived in the last 9 years or last 10 years?
Well, to Archbishop, the Metropolitan, Thabo Mbeki, those are his perspectives. We've said the same thing about Chief Justice Zondo's pronouncements, and we've said that as the African National Congress, we have full respect for the rights of people to express themselves and to associate themselves with particular perspectives in society. And there is no way the ANC can come in the way of that, by way of clamping down on perspectives or by way of directly rebutting such views. I think that one of the things that we led as a liberation movement is that freedom of expression of thoughts and perspectives. But also because these are the things that also keep the ANC awake, and should keep the ANC awake when we have voices of conscience in our nation speaking to us. So I would not really think that the ANC would respond to the sentiments of the Metropolitan Archbishop Mbeki directly on that aspect. All I can say that issues that he has raised are part of the conversation tonight and would form part of future conversations. We don't think from the ANC perspective that there are things that are being swept under the carpets. Law enforcement and judicial institutions are seized with these matters, including the matter of Phala Phala. And we are not worried as the African National Congress that those processes are being subverted by anyone or by any individual of authority or by the African National Congress. We've been very transparent about allowing that space to be processed as transparently as possible.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mahlengi Pengu Mutsiri, who is the spokesperson of the ANC. Hopefully, we will get that bite later on with the former president and the Secretary General of the ANC, Fikile Mbalula, and other officials once the meeting is concluded. Bongiwe.
Pulling no punches there. That's our reporter, Samkele Maseko, as we watch that meeting that we are told has already started. Former President Thabo Mbeki meeting with ANC officials tonight. And we can tell you, as the SABC, you heard for yourselves, the president of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, is not present in that particular meeting. So let's see what unfolds during the course of the evening.